Our next demo will be presented by Casey Mares, Director of Industry Strategy Data Centers from Cpower Energy Management. And the title is Mission Critical Energy Management Solutions for Data Centers. Casey, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Hi there, and good morning or good afternoon to everybody. Just wanted to say thanks so much for attending today, and I look forward to presenting a little bit more to you regarding really how data centers and Cpower work together to provide much more both energy efficiency as well as lower cost and a more dependable and cleaner grid. So with that, let's go ahead and get started here. Cpower, just in case you don't know, is the leading national energy solutions provider, providing these clean and dependable energy solutions to a variety of customers throughout North America. And we really ultimately focus on maximizing our customers' value in order to really improve overall grid reliability and reduce the overall emissions of the grid. We ultimately become really a trusted energy guide for all of our customers. And certainly we do have a lot of customers. We have over 11,000 customer sites in North America with literally thousands of megawatts of demand response participating from our various different customers. And ultimately, this leads to a lot of different improvements in not only a more dependable electric grid for all of us, but also a much cleaner electric grid, both enabling renewable power and also reducing overall over 7,000 metric tons of CO2 annually. So very significant. We also do provide these services and have many data centers participating with literally hundreds of megawatts just for data centers alone. One of the ways that, a lot of people ask, well, how can they participate and what really is demand response? And, if we back up just a little bit, we can speak a little bit about the grid variability. And we all know that certainly there's higher demand on the grid during peak demand time periods, whether it's for heating or air conditioning or because of variability in the grid, both in the resources coming in, wind, solar power, of course, all the storm events, fires and things of that nature. And so it really starts with an event notification that happens usually up to hours before, and then that is provided through very sophisticated metering solution, and then ultimately really a demand reduction through very much something that would be considered something like a virtual power plant. Any reduction in demand from the actual user is the same as adding additional power capacity onto the grid, whether that power capacity came from generating more electricity or it came from reducing the amount of electricity use. Ultimately, it is about keeping the grid stable, because electricity on the grid cannot be stored significantly or for any long period of time. And so it really must be used in real time, and hence both demand and supply really have to match up. Once that demand is provided in a demand response program, in essence, through this, what we call a virtual power plant, then really that once the grid has gone through that short-term event where it really needed that additional capacity but couldn't get it from generators, the cleaner method, of course, is to reduce demand. Now load is ultimately restored, the grid and demand are back in balance. And so notifications are provided back from our 24/7 team to our customers in order to essentially put things back into their normal operation. And so usually these demand response events last from a period of anywhere from a few minutes to as much as a few hours. And these grid events, as we're seeing in real time right now, are happening all around us. The flooding that happened in New York and throughout the really New England and even the Southeast over just this last week, as an example. We think about the forest fires that have been happening throughout the Western US, and many of the transmission lines that do have to be shut down that go through those forested areas because of fires that are underneath those transmission lines. And so it puts those transmission lines at risk, and that reduces overall supply to many of the users throughout the Western United States. We think about really in Texas, just back in February, less than about a half a year ago, going through another freezing event that literally impacted the entire state and everybody in that state. And if it actually wasn't for demand response programs that did happen in Texas during that extreme freezing event over many days, the grid would have actually failed. It was within literally 2 minutes of complete failure, which they say would have taken over 3 weeks for that grid to actually come back online. And so if you can imagine the impact and the amount of deaths that happened in just that state, just during those few days of event, what if it actually continued on for multiple weeks? And on and on. There's so many different examples of this that we're seeing on a regular basis, and these becoming not only more severe, but also more frequent. And so as our grid becomes more stressed, right, it's incumbent upon all of us to actually be able to give back through these demand response programs to not only ensure that we're keeping the grid up so that people have heat and air conditioning, so unnecessary deaths are not happening, but also so their business and industry can continue to operate. And certainly without our businesses and industry operating and certainly doing the virtual meetings like we're doing right now, that do put that demand on our electric grid, both at our homes, in our offices, and certainly, of course, in our data centers that support all these different online operations. So this is really one way that data centers can really ultimately give back and ensure that not just they stay up and those online operations stay up, but that really they stay up and the businesses of their customers and their businesses do stay up, as well as their employees also stay operational. And they can also go home to a home that is heated or air conditioned and operational. And so it's really beneficial to all of us to ensure we can do this as well as we can. There's different ways that we can do this and different ways that data centers do participate with us today. And that provides that demand response that's needed, absolutely needed, in ways that are really easy for data centers to participate. One, of course, is energy efficiency, as data centers have become so much more energy efficient and very good at managing their energy, but continue to strive to be more energy efficient. And there's lots of programs that we at Cpower have available to us that are above and beyond what the standard utility rebate programs may be for energy efficiency that we can provide. And sometimes those are very significant. We've literally provided checks back to our customers in the tune of millions of dollars to a single customer just for some of these energy efficiency upgrades that they have participated in. The other way is certainly to use their vast array of backup generators, and those are, whether those are a tier 2 or tier 3 or tier 4 compliant generator, they can be used in a variety of programs around the United States, fully automated programs to a hybrid of manual and automatic operation. And this really provides some capacity and sometimes significant capacity back. And if we look back at the event that happened in February in just Texas alone, for some of our customers participating in those programs provided literally millions of dollars in revenue for participation for just literally over an hour or a few hours. So it can be very significant monetary benefit that can be provided back. And the other way that's also very interesting that our data centers are participating is through using some of their additional or spare capacity, redundant capacity in their uninterruptible power supplies or UPS systems, and using just a small portion of that capacity for a very short period of time, but at a very high monetary value that is provided for utilizing those UPS systems for those very short periods of times. And again, just a very small portion of that. And so that's a very creative way of using that really grid-tied energy storage system that's very clean to provide this clean energy back to the grid during those short events that can be, like I said, very economic back to the customer. How do we do this? And there's a variety of tools and methods that really happen through the Cpower team that start really with an automation that's really a direct in a automated both connection as well as plan and how that happens in partnership with you, our customer, really the expectations of what that requirements would be or the needs would be. This isn't something that usually is a surprise. We have a very sophisticated team that monitors all of the grids around North America in real time in a 24/7 basis and provides really direct communications to our customers on a regular basis. It's one of the additional benefits that our customers glean from our programs is they actually know what's happening on the grid around them all the time, when there are shortages, when there's impacts or issues, or when there may actually likely to be, whether it's later this week, it's tomorrow, or even sometime perhaps later today. So we can let our customers know in that real-time environment, and also with forward forecasting, which really helps our businesses do better planning as well. Also, in addition to that, we have a very large team that manages the regulatory environment and could provide real time feedback back as to these regulatory changes that happen and how to really react and respond to those, and really in a way that's beneficial to our customers. And then we also work with and direct with our customers on how they want to reduce their emissions profile, reduce carbon, as well as also achieve some of their sustainability goals and so forth. So we can really work together, and we do work together with our customers in order to achieve that. And ultimately, it leads to really both energy reduction, cost savings, and sometimes significant cost benefits, as well as emissions reductions to our customers. This is done throughout North America. We have programs that, like I said, are throughout most of North America. Many programs, these are examples of some of those programs that we do have in place throughout many of the utilities around North America, and really with our 24/7 operations team, very much the same as with the data center or many other businesses. We work directly together with our customers nationally with these programs to help them really be their energy solutions guide, and also ultimately derive more from their systems that they have in place. So really consider us your energy guide. We are here to help you reduce your emissions, provide a direct benefit back to the grid that helps all of us to ensure that we stay up and operational and continue working and providing the valuable services and really sustaining life and vitality in our economy, in our communities, and ultimately providing a lot of monetary value back to you, our customers. So with that, thank you so much for your time today.
Great, thanks, Casey. We will now open it up for questions. Just a reminder, you can navigate to the Q&A at the bottom of your screen to ask Casey a question. First question, Casey, is how do demand-side programs help data centers meet their sustainability goals?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that often has a big question mark at the end from a lot of our customers. Ultimately, really the grid during these peak demand periods that are very extreme because of either weather or high demand, they ultimately go to the power plants that are the most expensive and the most emitting as far as emissions. So whether they're natural gas powered peaking plants or coal powered power plants that are generally the dirtiest and also the most expensive on a per kilowatt hour basis. And so by participating in our programs, we can reduce the demand that's on those extremely polluting plants, or also very costly plants during those times, or that also have a bigger environmental impact, that maybe we have to pull more flow down through a hydro river during times when there's salmon runs or things like that, and can impact those. So these demand response programs can reduce the emissions. It can also provide other sustainability benefits, and ultimately also reduce the cost of electricity on a per unit basis for everybody that's on that grid, while providing this monetary value back to our customers. So it's a win-win-win all the way around for our customers.
Okay, great. Next question is, would you be interested in business development for the Brazilian market? I mean, initially info and analysis, as you mentioned, that you provide in the United States.
Yeah, we would absolutely take a look at that, and I'd be certainly glad to work with the person who did ask that question. And certainly, I suggest to the person who did ask that question, certainly reach out to us through either cpowerenergymanagement.com on our contact us page, or also reach out. We can reach out directly to the participants of this program afterwards, and certainly let's connect, let's talk about that, and we'll work with our regulatory team and see if there's something that we can do to assist you, as certainly in Brazil or other regions outside of the regions that we currently do have programs that we participate in.
Okay, great. Next question, you were talking data centers, but does Cpower currently provide demand response support to institutions, for example, universities, hospitals, and what is too small?
Yes, absolutely. Cpower Energy Management provides solutions for all kinds of customers, from large and national to more local retail chains, to industries, large industries to even smaller factories, certainly also hospitals and public institutions as well can certainly participate. Really, there is no limit to who can participate. Sometimes it does come down to the participation, the notifications and the team and so forth, the resources that are in place with that organization as to what we can do or what resources they do have on site. But generally speaking, the size can be quite variable. A good example is we do work with even chain restaurants that, each restaurant itself may not have a large load, but in aggregate, it's a significant load that can participate and really assist that local grid on making sure that they stay up, and yet also provide this really great benefit back to that business. And so as far as the type of business, organization, or the size of that, the real answer is reach out to us and let's work together to see what we can do for you.
Great, thanks. Next question, how do demand side energy programs help data centers and their communities?
Yeah, this is one that's really near and dear to my heart, as having been in the data center industry for over 2 decades now. And I certainly do believe that as data centers, we provide a real meaningful, value service, right, to all of us in the world through the different services that we do provide over the internet and the various different values to that. And of course, that also means that with that comes a lot of increasing energy use to our data centers to provide those online services, very much like what we're using right now from within our data centers and certainly out to our homes and businesses. And with that, of course, that means we are connected to our homes and businesses. And it really does no good if the data center stays up and running and everything else around us is down and offline because the grid is shut down, yet the data center is running on their backup generators. That does the data center no good. It does nobody else any good if they can't connect in these online operations or use the value tools and services that do come from these data centers. So we want to make sure that really our communities stay up and operational, that the grids don't shut down. We want to, whether it's because of an extreme weather event, a forest fire, some other natural disaster, a human-caused disaster, or it's also just because of the fact that we have a lot of more extreme weather and the grid has a lot more demand on it, both because of heating in the wintertime and also air conditioning in the summertime. More and more of us have air conditioning in our homes and really do need it. And the forest fires in the West with all the smoke have shown us that we sometimes actually need that in order just to even survive, just be able to breathe, safely breathe. So by our data centers participating in these demand response programs, we can ensure the stability of the grid stays up, that the grid can use more intermittent use such as wind and solar, and that ultimately makes for a cleaner world for all of us and a more cleaner electricity supply, and yet also ensures that our grid stays up during those different times of weather or variability in our electric load, and that data centers have such a great resource and tool to provide back to keep our communities and our electric grids up and running so that all of us can continue to use these different online functions and services and tools that we receive from our data centers.
Great, thanks. Before we move on to the last demo, Casey, do you have any final thoughts for the audience?
Yeah, certainly. Again, I want to make sure that you really think of us as our energy guide. Reach out to us with any questions you have. We can assist in many ways. And like I said, it's from a regulatory framework and provide that information to also that variability in the grid and notifications about that. And certainly provide some significant monetary value in addition to also monetary value that's above and beyond what local utilities can usually provide for rebate programs, and helping you, really the business, become more sustainable, lower your cost, and ultimately become a significant partner with the community and the electric grid for all.